This is going to be a video response to SandySweet575. Hi Sandy, what's up? This is going to be a response to your video, Colorism and Beauty. See, the funny thing about beauty in society is that it's primarily perceived through the eyes. It doesn't matter how you are, who you are as a person, as long as you can get someone's blood pumping by how sexually attractive you are. And one thing I like to affirm about me is that with me, I'm unconditionally accepting of outer beauty in and of itself. It doesn't matter how you look. Beauty truly is on the inside. I mean, you could look like a clone of Megan Fox, but if you're a fucking bitch who judges the shit out of me and condemns me for every aspect of who I choose to be, when I've done absolutely nothing to you to deserve it, then you're fucking ugly. However, if you give me your respect, it doesn't matter what skin color you have, what hair color you have, what eye color you have, what your height is, or even what your weight is. I'll think you're the most beautiful thing that ever walked this earth. Damn it, who the fuck is calling me? Silence! Silence, mortal! See, I'm a person who just doesn't see flaws in outer beauty. I don't care if you have any obvious physical abnormalities, like if you have one eye, or a big-ass scar going across your face or some shit. Because if you look at me with an unbiased point of view and don't condemn me for my clothing style or my music taste or my lack of religious beliefs and shit, I'll think you're the most beautiful thing that ever walked this earth. I'll accept you for everything you are. I'll look at that scar across your face and just say, man, that's the most beautiful scar in the world. Man, cold creamer really gets that shit cold. You think? I mean, like wet creamer, because it's been refrigerated. See, as long as you don't condemn me or anyone else for prejudicial reasons, like if you weren't a Nazi or some shit, I'll accept you. I respect and accept people who are respectful and accepting of me and others, no matter how you look. The only semblance of a physical turnoff I have is unclean odor. See, I've been around some extremely physically appealing girls who are incredibly appreciative of me, but they have some inexplicable, uninviting odor about them. Damn it. New voicemail, that's great. That's gravy. That's grand. And it just makes me want to run into a cave and hibernate. Like, it's that bad. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, I'll never look at you and think you're ugly for your skin color, hair color, eye color, height, weight, etc. I'm not shallow like that. I think prejudicial condemnation is ugly, and that's all. Doesn't matter what your hobbies, or interests, or passions, or dreams, or fetishes, or fantasies are, or even how you look on the outside, as long as you're not prejudiced. Unfortunately, society doesn't think the same, at least for the majority of it. If a black girl has a dark skin color, as opposed to a fair skin color like Beyonce, or Rihanna, or Nicki Minaj, or some shit, they may be dismissed as undesirable. Society is so brainwashed by the media that if a girl doesn't resemble anything like the celebrities on TV or in magazines, they're inadequate and ugly. That's bullshit. Everyone conforms to popular opinion. Everyone has these impossible standards and expectations for people, especially when it comes to outer beauty. Excuse me. Nothing is ever good enough. To fulfill someone's expectations, I'd have to be so meticulous and artificially contrived as to not possess or resemble the slightest microscopic modicum of a deviation from normality or conventionally perceived perfection. I've been around people who actually browse Facebook and go on random people's pages and talk shit about them just because they have nothing better to do. Like, oh my god, look at her nose, look at her teeth. She looks like a horse. She'd be pretty if she weren't so fat. Her skin color's so horrible. She's too pale. She's too dark. Look at all her acne on her face. She looks like a pepperoni pizza. Her hair is so frizzy and nappy. Her forehead is so fucking huge. Etc., etc., etc. Like, people just look for shit to complain about. We live in the most judgmental fucking society. Especially when it comes to stereotypes. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. People. These people are just... Ugh. ugh. Yeah, like that. They're just, ugh. Let me tell you something. Let me fucking tell you something. Just last night, I went to 7-Eleven with my friends. We went and got some coffee at midnight just because that's how we throw down. After we left 7-Eleven, we started walking back to my friend's house. And by the time we got to the sidewalk, these douchebags were heckling me from the 7-Eleven gas pumps. All of a sudden, I heard the words, "Turn around!" I was like, what the freak? Then I heard, "Turn the fuck around, you fucking gothic freak! Turn around!" Yeah, nothing happened after that. We made our way back to my friend's house, safe and sound, but you see what I mean? This is what is known as stereotypical judgment. I received it all throughout high school. How it works is really quite simple. You look at something, you have absolutely no knowledge about what it is or who it is you're looking at. Therefore, you develop the inclination to pretend as though you have knowledge of what or who you're looking at. You don't know shit about the person, so you want to pretend that you know. This pretentious knowledge is known as stereotypical judgment. Someone who knows absolutely nothing about me sees me walking out of a 7-Eleven. All he knows is that I wear black clothing. Thenceforth, he'll profess pretentious, fallacious, and mendacious knowledge of me. I was about to say knowledge. Mendacious knowledge. Mendacious knowledge of me. I.e., you fucking gothic freak. That's his way of pretending that he knows me. I received that shit all throughout my life. Words such as goth, emo, scene, etc. are stereotypes. When these words come out of a stranger's mouth, they act as a substantiation of ignorance. When someone looks at me and says, "You fucking gothic freak," it translates into, "I'm fucking ignorant! And I'm either in denial about it, or I have no fucking clue as to how ignorant I really am." People need a convenient excuse for their own ignorance. People need some compensation for their own ignorance. I swear, I was about to say constipation. I always get constipation and compensation mixed up. People can't just look at someone and say, "I don't know anything about that person, so I won't judge him or her." Society is not humble like that for the most part. There's too much bias. People have to categorize everything so they can pretend to know it. People are arrogant like that. They're audacious like that. People have to be so cognizant of all of these physical similarities and claim that anyone that looks like something they've seen before is automatically that same fucking person. Nobody ever considers that maybe, just maybe, by some random fucking possibility, the people they see are actually individuals with their own uniqueness and own personalities and own individualities and own identities and own perspectives and own attributes that define them individually. No, nobody thinks like that. Everybody has to be a clone of someone else. Everybody has to be a part of a group. Individuality is the most improbable fucking concept to humanity. It's like, huh? An individual? Holy Santa Claus shit! Someone who is not part of a clique or a stereotype? Someone who doesn't need to be the shadow of something that already exists? Holy bitch tits! Individuality is seen as a fantastical and an unfeasible myth. And different is seen as disturbing or intimidating. "Oh no, a guy walking out of 7-Eleven in strip pants. That guy must be gothic because he wears strip pants. That's the fucking law of the universe. It's like the law of gravity. It's unequivocal and undeniable." First of all, nobody has a trademark over strip pants. There are a lot of people wearing them in the world. You may not see them that often, but a lot of people wear them. And just because they wear them doesn't mean they're all part of a group, a clique, or a stereotype. If 5 people were all wearing strip pants and walking down a shopping mall, side by side, what might the average person think if he looks at them? "It's the Gothic Squad! It's the Emo Squad! It's the Satanist Squad!" Etc., etc., etc. Physical similarities are seen as personal adhesives. It would never occur to the average person that those 5 people might be completely different from one another, even though they're wearing strip pants. They might have different religious views, One guy might be a Catholic, one guy might be an atheist, one guy might be a Wiccan, one guy might be a Jew, one guy might be a Lutheran. They might have different philosophical views, political views, music tastes, hobbies, passions, sexualities, etc. There's no defining quality with clothing styles. There's no defining quality with stereotypes. Stereotypes are nothing but fucking illusions. It's the logical fallacy known as affirming the consequence. Stereotypical judgment is affirming the consequence. It's taking a look at something and jumping to a conclusion based on assumption and ignorance. Just because you wear black doesn't mean you label yourself to a stereotype. I tell you, the most prevalently judged stereotype in this adolescent society particularly is emo. It's the biggest logical fucking fallacy of all time. It's the biggest affirmed consequence of all time. People are all like, that guy straightens his hair and parts his hair to the side. He must be emo. That guy is poetic. He must be emo. That guy is depressed. He must be emo. That guy is suicidal. He must be emo. It's like looking at a fucking dolphin and saying that it's a fucking fish just because it swims in water. That dolphin swims in water. Fish swim in water. Therefore, that dolphin is a fucking fish. It's like looking at a guy and saying he's a Nazi just because he speaks German. That guy speaks German. Nazis speak German. Therefore, that guy's a fucking Nazi. Am I not making sense? Just because you swim in water doesn't mean you're a fish. And just because you speak German doesn't mean you're a Nazi. More eminently, just because you have a certain clothing style, hairstyle, or just because you're depressed or suicidal doesn't mean you label yourself. You can have these traits and be an individual. Stereotypes have no defining qualities. None whatsoever. They have no substance, as opposed to religious or philosophical terms. Theism entails believing in a deity. Moral nihilism entails believing morality doesn't inherently exist. What substance or defining quality does Gothic or emo have? Like I said, just because you have a certain clothing style, hairstyle, or just because you're depressed or suicidal doesn't mean you label yourself. Stereotypes aren't real. There's only the illusion of stereotypes. If you judge other people stereotypically, you're indicating that you don't know jack shit about them. A stereotype is an assertion and substantiation of ignorance. A stereotype is an exaggeration of commonplace similarities to disingenuously fabricate an illusion of knowledge. A stereotype is a placebo of knowledge. A stereotype is a logical fallacy of affirming the consequence out of prepubescent, insubstantial judgments. Now, there's stereotypical judgment of others and stereotypical judgment of self, which is the same concept. When you label yourself, you're desperate to be accepted because you don't believe you're good enough for anybody on your own merits. You feel as though you need to assimilate commonplace similarities and put a sticker on your head that says emo out of insecurity and low self-esteem. You feel as though your individuality is a weakness, so you diminish your individuality, turn yourself into a clone, and jump right into a clique. You feel as though you need a social fortification, because if anyone talks shit about you, they won't be talking shit about you as an individual. They'll be talking shit about the group you're in. So you feel safe knowing that the idea or the image or the concept or the stereotype itself is going to take the heat for you if some prejudicial heckler starts trolling you with harassment. You take comfort and security knowing that other people in this idea or image or concept or stereotype that's being attacked are going to take that trolling and harassment for you because you're afraid of being isolated in the attacks. You don't want to be naked in the spotlight. Self-stereotypical judgment is a conception of social cowardice. It's cowardice for how people think of you, and cowardice for being yourself. I personally thrive on the condemnation from society. I'm not afraid of what people think of me. In fact, I find condemnation quite flattering. When I was walking out of that 7-Eleven, all I could think of was how flattered I was by that guy hating me and trying to insult me. I don't mind a stain. If someone makes an endeavor to insult me, all I think is, damn, that person's opinions about me were so strong that he actually had to yell at me in order to project them. That person's opinions about me were so strong that it actually made him angry. He must have been really passionate about me. It was quite thoughtful of him to give me his attention and his time and his words and his emotions like that. Bless you, laddie. May Cthulhu bless you. Okay, you want to know what happened today? Well, not today, but yesterday. You want to know what happened yesterday? I swear on Cthulhu this shit happened. It's a true story. I was walking out of Shoppers yesterday. I went to Shoppers to get some Axe. It's called Cool Metal, by the way. Sexiest Axe name I've ever seen. I had to get it in case it got discontinued. It was just too damn sexy to pass up. It smells really good too. Spray. Can you see the mist? Ah, God, it's so fucking beautiful. I love anything that has metal on it. Cool and metal. Can't go wrong. But anyway, as I was walking home, this guy was driving unusually close to the sidewalk. I was walking past an intersection, right? If you go right, you'll go into the parking lot of the Bourne Library. If you go left, you'll go onto an uphill street. If you go straight, you'll go onto a downhill street that leads to my neighborhood. If you go back, you'll go towards the plaza where the Shoppers is. This guy was coming from the direction of the plaza and going in the direction of my neighborhood where I was going. He was passing me. As he was passing me, he pulled as close as he could to the sidewalk. And when he did, the guy in the passenger seat stuck his hand out of the window, put up his middle finger, and yelled, "Fuck you!" at the top of his lungs. He drove all the way down the end of the street that we were on, made a U-turn. When he reached the end of the street, he drove all the way back to the intersection by the library and made a turn into the uphill street. See? This guy's original destination was the uphill street. All he had to do was make a left on the intersection to get to wherever he wanted to go, but when he saw me, he wanted to keep going straight onto the road, just so the passenger could say "fuck you" to me at the cost of going all the way down the road, making a U-turn, and having to take the road wherever he wanted to go instead of just taking the one left. He was that passionate about me. The question is, why the fuck would he do that? Why the fuck would he do that? What the fuck did I do to those guys to make them so passionate about me? Why was I so worth their time? Why was I so worth their gas? Why was I so worth a deviation from their original destination? Why was I worth such an insult? What the fuck did I do? Besides just try to make my way home from the store. What did I do to them? Whatever it was, I was fucking happy that I did it. It made my day. It's impossible to hurt my feelings. Positive compliments are flattering, and insults are flattering as well. If you love me, or hate me, you're passionate about me. And with the finite life I have, I cherish the passion I incite in the minds of society. It's a fucking honor. That's why I'm not afraid of being myself. I'm not afraid of being an individual. I'm not afraid of being isolated. I'm not afraid of being a black cat in a room full of a million white cats. I'm not afraid of having a, not having a tag. I'm not afraid of not being an exaggerated clone. I'm not afraid of people's opinions. I'm not afraid of hatred. I'm not afraid of not being accepted. In this judgmental society where different is perceived as corruption and individuality is perceived as weakness, I'll be different and I'll be an individual. You see imperfection, you see ugliness, I see perfection, I see beauty. I see it in myself, I see it in those you dismiss as imperfect and ugly, like a dark-skinned African-American female. I love that which you hate, and I see that which you don't. As for that test with the dolls, yeah, the thing about black and white is that they're symbols. In the eyes of popular opinion, they're symbols. White is a symbol of purity, black is a symbol of contamination. If a child looks at a white doll or a doll clothed in white, the child might be inclined to ideally perceive it as beautiful and clean and nice. Whereas if the child looks at a black doll or a doll clothed in black, the child might be inclined to ideally perceive it as ugly and contaminated and evil. I love black, man. I'm not afraid to wear black. I wear black as something of a test for society. I wear black in public and when I'm around my family. Even my grandparents and family members I only see a couple times a year. See, I want to see if they're going to jump to conclusions and perceive me as ugly, corrupt, or evil by the way I look, or if they'll actually transgress the limitations of prejudgment and immerse themselves into the truth of my singularity. If anyone in my family or society ever got to know me, they'd know that I'm straight edge, I've never done a drug or had a sip of alcohol in my life, I've never committed a crime, and I endow all human beings with courtesy, acceptance, respect, and kindness if they do the same for others. I want to see if they'll be mentally capable of seeing me without the use of their fucking eyes. If anyone demands that I change my clothing style just because it's seen as impure. They're not worthy of my compliance. I conform to no one. If they can't even bother to judge me based on the way I identify myself as an individual. I like to know who judges me without illusions. I like to know who truly respects me. I like to know who acknowledges my interior as opposed to my exterior. Nevertheless, whether or not you condemn my exterior or my interior, I'll never change myself for you. I wear black because I think it's beautiful. I think anything that's condemned with prejudice or ignorance for the majority of society is beautiful, and I embrace that which is beautiful. If you think my appearance is inadequate, inferior, imperfect, corrupt, or contaminated, or evil, just because it has no color, and you think you know me on the inside, but what you see on the outside, you're not worthy of my respect, and I'm not sorry about it. If you condemn me, you can be sure as fucking hell I'm not going to submit. I'm going to rebel. If you want me to dress appropriately or conventionally appealing, you can be sure as hell I'm not going to change. I wear this black with pride. I mutilate my face with pride. Because society deems it as unacceptable just because you don't see people like Justin Bieber or Jesus doing it. You demand conformity. You demand for perfection, but you wouldn't know perfection if it spat right in your face. If you think a person is ugly or perfect just because she has dark skin, black clothing, and music taste for heavy metal, a face full of piercings, scars or birthmarks in obvious places, deformities, mental defects like OCD, ADD, Tourette's, speech impediments, acne, excess weight, or any conceivable commonly construed imperfection. Yet she's unconditionally accepting of people for their individuality. I look at that person you're judging and see nothing but sheer perfection in her. Or him. There are no imperfections in my eyes. Maybe yours, but not mine. Fuck imperfections, fuck stereotypes, fuck prejudicial judgments. I am the MassaCreature. Sandy, you are a sweetheart. Thank you for making such a great video for me to respond to. And anyone who's watching right now, if you love me or you hate me, I am grateful for your passion. Thank you for being so passionate about me. Stick to your guns, light your own path. Sandy, hope to hear from you more in the future. Peace the fuck out.